Welcome to FemFlex Friday. I'm Lenda Murray along with my co-host Whitney Jones.
Hello.
And we're excited because we have a couple, power couple. Power couple, two IFBB professional bodybuilders living under the same roof. We have Keith Williams and Tina Williams. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yes, very exciting.
So you have to tell us, kind of obviously now as a couple, and you guys have a ton of experience in the industry, and we're going to get to all of that, but I saw a little peek behind you. So you guys also are parents, so it's not just all about you guys are parents too.
Yes, we are.
We have a 7-year-old daughter, and we also just adopted a 4-month-old little boy.
And then we have an 18-year-old who's about to graduate on Friday.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So you have a ton going on, and you still manage to smile every day and get along and work through all this training. So, gosh, we have a ton to discuss, and you guys are going to be very interesting for all of our viewers.
Yes. So just an adoption, 4 months old? You said?
4 months. We took him home from the hospital, actually, and we made the decision in about 12 hours.
Okay, wow. Because, you know, I'm just going to be honest. I heard you say 4 months, and I was like, I just saw Tina, and she wasn't pregnant. Okay, I know they're a couple. We're supposed to be having this conversation about couples and under the same room.
Kidding.
Yes, no, and I was like, I know she wasn't pregnant. Well,
now we know why.
Keith is very faithful.
It's like,
no, I'm serious.
You bounce back fast, baby.
Yeah, I was like, wow, she bounces back fast. I just saw her.
But now it all makes sense.
It's funny because even people around here will see me at the supermarket and be like, that's not fair. It's not fair. Because, you know, I have this infant with me and I'm in great shape. And I'm like, oh, no, you know, I have to explain the situation. But I've had people walk up to me and say, you must be a nanny or a babysitter. I'm like, no, this is my kid. But then I explain later that, you know, we did adopt. So,
well, congratulations. That's always amazing. And at least 3 children. Gosh, I can't even imagine. I have 2, and I'm busy as ever. But I also don't have a newborn baby. So kudos to you guys and congrats.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Tina, you're looking good. You're looking good. And so, Keith, are you? I know you're always, like I said, the couple, power couple. I've watched you in the audience supporting Tina, and you and her supporting you. So, and you guys, I hope you guys, I mean, I don't know if you guys know, you're a former NFL athlete. That's really impressive. Who did you play for?
I played for the Denver Broncos and the Packers, and before then I was a pro track athlete. So
wow.
I was in the Olympics in '96 in Atlanta, Georgia. Then I went to the NFL for 8 years, and then I started competing in bodybuilding.
Wow. Kind of very eclectic little like athletic background, but hey, it all parlays into where you are today, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Good for you. Now, are you retired from competing, or is there a chance you're back? What's the current status?
Me? I won the Baltimore Pro last year in August. And so I'm getting ready for the Chicago Pro as well. And then the Tampa Pro as well. So. And
have y'all ever done a show together?
We did Chicago last year. I decided at the last 7 weeks out to jump in there. Just didn't know I was going to compete last year, and then decided, got a bug for it. And after watching the New York Pro in Tampa, I decided to jump in the Chicago Pro, which I didn't think I was competing last year, but then I decided to. And then I went from Chicago to Baltimore, and then won Baltimore last year as well.
Okay.
Oh, that's exciting. So you guys are in the heart of prep with a newborn baby, a son graduating at the end of the week, and then your daughter in the mix of it all too. Wow. Okay. No one has excuses.
No, we just literally got back from Indianapolis on yesterday or day before yesterday, because my son he's on the Under Armour basketball team. So we literally went to the gym, left the gym, drove to Indianapolis 6 hours, got back yesterday. We got all our training and food in. So we make it work. You know, it's just one of those things, you make adjustments on the fly, and we find gyms, and we make sure we take all our food and stuff with us, make sure we find a hotel that we can have microwave and refrigerator and all that stuff so we can stay on track with our prep.
Wow. So who's the cook? Who cooks the meals? You guys? I said it. He does. All right.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I cook the meals. You know, I mean, you know, between the baby running the business, the bar we run, Kansas, and everything else. We find a balance between the two to, even out the duties as far as the laundry, the cooking, the baby, and everything else that we have to do. And we make it work. You know, I mean, you figure out a schedule, and now we're, both trained at the same gym. She used to train at a different gym than I do. So now we're training at the same gym, so we get to see each other more often. We don't train together, but we train the same gym, so it's nice.
Okay. Yeah, that was one of the questions. Next questions as far as like training together. So at one time, Tina, you were training at a different gym than Keith was at because of logistics of your job, or was it just?
There were several things. One was that they had a daycare. The where he was at didn't. And I had to drop the kid off or the kids off, and I'd have to go to the gym, and then I'd have to go back and get them, and then I'd have to run home to get my stuff for work, and then go back to the gym. So it was just easier for me with the daycare there. Less time, and I was more, it was easier for me. And that's the one thing about him and I is we're really good about, okay, so tomorrow, when are you training? Or what time do we need to be there? The daycare closes at this time, and we need to do cardio at this time. So I was up at 6 a.m. today doing my cardio so that we could get back here in time, of course, to see you lovely ladies.
Yes,
But we always make it work, and sometimes our schedules overlap. So he'll take the kids to the gym with him while he's working and training clients, and then I'll go to the bar. And there is sometimes where I have to take the kids to the bar with me, but it's fine. Kansas has been in a bar her whole life. So.
Yes, because you're the general manager of a bar.
I'm the general manager, and I'm the main bartender.
And you're the main
I work
bartender.
9 hours a day.
Wow.
And I try to manage people and deal with drunks, and it's a different life, but it's outside of the gym and what I do as far as training. So it's kind of nice to get that break. I've always thought about training people, and I did weight loss for a while, but it was one of those things where I felt like I did it for so long. When I was doing my workout, my mind wasn't right. So I wanted a place outside of the gym to go so that I could come back and feel like I was ready mentally to actually work. If that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I can relate. I've been there, and I currently train clients, and sometimes, I think that's a very interesting perspective, and something that's interesting that you identified that and said, I'm not going to be efficient and make the changes and progress as an athlete unless I kind of get out of it. So good for you, because it's not an easy switch, but 9 hours, wow, girl, that's rough.
Yeah.
And on your feet all day.
Right.
Oh, wow.
With a smile on her face.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love it.
Oh, wow.
That's great.
So you guys said that you train together sometimes, but you don't train actually together. You're in the gym, but are your workouts completely different, or have there ever been times you're like, all right, I need you to push me, you need to push me, vice versa, and we're just going to do this together?
Sometimes it's like that. I myself, though, of course, Alina's my trainer, so anything that she tells me to do, if I have to lift the wall, I lift the wall. If I have to push something, I push something, whatever it is. So I never stray from my plans. Every now and then, Keith, he'll ask me, what I'm doing that day, or he'll help push me do my actual exercises and vice versa. And I'll go and help him sometimes. He works out with people, and I don't. I'm a very independent person in the gym.
Okay.
I cannot stand someone standing over me and telling me that I'm not working hard or I need to work harder. I am the kind of person, and he'll tell you, I will kick my own butt. I don't need, I'll push myself to failure. And the other day when I was doing squats, a guy had to come help me, but I didn't care. I know what I have to do to get better. So that's why, being by myself, I just feel more focused. I don't have anybody to chitter chat with, and I get on my headphones and I go. So I like it.
Yeah.
You're there for a purpose. Yeah.
Yes.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
We try to utilize our time as much as we can. A lot of people in there chit chat, but we know our time is valuable with the daycare hours and everything else with the kids and stuff like that. So we try to get our workouts in, get out, and get on to the next thing that we got going on in our life for the day.
Yeah. And of course, daycare, you only get 2 hours. You got 2 hours to get your kids.
Right.
They're over there screaming at
Right. Yeah, I know a lot of people most people would make assumptions about a couple. You know, they see both of you in shape, and I think a lot of times they probably would have just assumed that you're like, well, they see your biceps and they know you're no joke, Tina, so they're not going to just say, oh, well, she's going to do everything and anything that her hubby's asking her to do. But they do have a tendency to probably think or assume that because you're both athletes in the same house, that you work out at the same time, that you want to work out together, that, you know, and I've always been one where I like going solo, independent. So I really get that.
Yeah, that's me too. A lot of times people think that he is my trainer, you know. Does your husband train you? And I'm like, no, he doesn't train me anymore, but he does train people. I get that a lot.
That's exactly where I'm going. Because I would get that even with my husband at the time, that, you know, they would just immediately say, does your husband train you? And I was like, no, my husband doesn't train me.
I'm fully capable myself.
Yes. I won 5 Olympias before I got married.
That needs to be your initial response out the gate, right?
It is true. Yes. They always revert back to the man as being your trainer or in charge, I guess would be. And a lot of times, you know, he has female clients, so people will be like, well, you know, he trains her, so what's that about?
Yeah, right.
Well, he's not my trainer, he's my husband.
Yeah,
you know, he trained me in the beginning, but then it was one of those things where he felt it was too close to home, and I decided to jump into women's bodybuilding, and he said, it's past me, I'm gonna let the reins go. And I appreciated the fact that he was honest with me, even as his wife, to say, look, I want to help you, but this is past me.
And even like last year, you know, after Omaha, you know, she was training with a trainer, and I felt that it was, as a husband, this is a business now, you know, for her. Mm-hmm. So it's not just about, you know, I tell people all the time, it's not just for us going into the gym and just working out. I mean, this is a business, you know, as far as whether it's training clients or competing in shows. And so when I've seen things were off in Omaha, you know, I sought out several people that I thought could help her. We ended up picking Alina, you know, Popa as her coach. And I sat down with Alina, I said, this is what my expectations are as for her, you know, seeing that she's placed in, I think she's placed in the top 5 of every pro show she's done, but I think Norfolk last year.
No, it was Savannah.
Savannah. Okay. So last year was Savannah. That was the only show she hadn't placed in the top 5. And so it was one of those things where, as her husband, because Tina has a certain loyalty sometimes towards people, but again, she doesn't understand that the professional level, this is a business, and you both of you ladies understand what I'm talking about. That, you know, decisions have to be made because it's an investment that you're making in yourself and making in your career. And so sometimes you need to make a move, and that's when I come in and saying, okay, there's a good cop and a bad cop. I'll be the bad cop. You got to go. It's time to slide somebody else.
And I kept telling him, you know, I always wanted to reach out to Alina, but I wasn't sure where her career was, and I didn't know if she was going to come back. And I don't want to be that person to put a burden on somebody that's trying to focus on themselves.
Yeah.
So once I realized that, you know, she was focusing on the wings of strength, I told Keith, I said, I really, really want Alina. Okay. And I've worked with her for a year, and I absolutely love her.
She's amazing.
Okay. Well, we're going to come back. We're going to take a quick break, and we will resume and hear more about how you guys support each other to help, you know, move along.
Make it work.
Make it work.
All right, we'll be right back.
You diet down, train hard, and supplement smart for months. When the time comes to step on stage, don't leave your tan to chance. Go with the pros. Pro Tan. #1 worldwide since 1987 and the official sponsor of the Olympia for the last 15 years. Don't step on stage without it. Pro Tan.
All right, we are back with Tina and Keith Williams, both who are competing right now. And you guys had just mentioned something that I thought was interesting, that Keith, you initially were prepping and coaching Tina, but you realized, you know, let's give the reins to somebody else. And I want to just be the supportive husband and support my spouse, be her cheerleader. That probably wasn't the easiest decision, but it seems like we're seeing a lot of couples who both compete who say, we need to take the coaching aspect out of our relationship. Was it an easy or hard decision when you guys finally made that choice?
I don't think it was. You know, I coach a lot of people. I mean, I have a ton of clients. I can't even count a ton of clients I deal with. So when we decided to go down the bodybuilding route, versus because she was in women's physique, she was a very good and top 3 competitor, but she was just too big. But she was also scared to go down the road of, am I big enough to be a women's bodybuilder? We ended up talking to Melanie Specco, who was her former coach, and she said, yeah. So it was one of those things. I'm like, hey, you know, this is, you know, I train a lot of athletes, men's bodybuilding physique, but never a woman's bodybuilder. And sometimes you got to understand that, you know, when you're at home with somebody and doing diet and subjective point of view and all these other things, you want that. And so I decided that it was time for me to step back and let somebody else take over. And if they wanted my 2 cents every now and then, which Lenda does all the time, asking me what I think, my thoughts and things like that, I will. But being now out of the frame where I don't have to make all the decisions has made it a whole lot easier on our life and our relationship. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I believe that. So how has it like made it easier? I
don't have to think about it. I can just be the supportive husband. I can cook the food and, you know, make sure that she has everything she needs, make sure she goes to the chiropractor, make sure she does the things that she used to didn't do. Because, you know, Tina's a very low maintenance person, and as she has now gotten to the depths of women's pro bodybuilding, there's a lot more, you know, maintenance and things that she has to do as far as diet, supplementation, you know, cardio, training, and things like that. That, you know, I always tell people the smartest person in the room is always the person going to ask questions. And so I'm not a know-it-all. I don't know everything when it came to women's bodybuilding. So I thought that going to find a coach that knew something more about women's bodybuilding was the right avenue for us to go down, and it's paid big dividends for her, big time.
Well, let me clarify when he means, dieting. I don't ever stray off of what I'm doing. You could try to give me a crouton, I won't eat it. And he'll tell you I'm disciplined to, I wouldn't even say a fault, I'm just very disciplined. I feel guilty. I would feel guilty if I did something that Alina told me not to do. I always ask, can I have this before I actually eat it? The one thing that I didn't ever do until now is maintenance my body. So I felt like massages and, you know, the scraping of the muscles were not important, the grasping. And Keith was like, no, you really need to do this. This is important. But to me, it was selfish because it's just something that I don't need. It's just something for pleasure. That was in my mind. And I was like, if I can save $100, why not save $100? But then he got me to realize, and then I asked Alina, is this good? And she's like, yeah, go ahead and do this. You know, that's good. So then I started doing it, and I've been able to tell the difference. But for 14 years I competed, I never did any of this stuff.
Wow.
So
interesting. And you know what, it's a huge thing now, because when you step on stage as a pro athlete, everyone looks amazing. So they look at those fine details of what separates first, second, third from the others. And a lot of times, at least, and I'm sure you can attest to this, sitting in the audience or judge's table and you're that up close, those details matter. And you can just go, oh, their quads are knotted up, so there's no separation, and they're trying to pose. Body work is crucial for anyone at the pro level, especially if you're at the top and you're trying to inch in 1 or 2 spots. But it wasn't as common even 5 years ago. But now it's an absolute part. It has to be part of everyone's prep.
That's
absolutely. So he did get me to start doing that.
And as a pro athlete, before getting into bodybuilding and 2 other sports, I knew, as I got older and as I, competing from college to now in my third pro sport, we have to take care of our bodies. We have to maintenance our bodies. And Dexter Jackson was the guy who taught me that.
What's the difference? How does it differ as far as in your training from, let's say, because from competitor to competitor, whether it's 2 women or 2 men, we're all individuals and we have to really figure out what works for our body. But being man and woman, there's a difference, and sometimes we run into this issue when it comes to women bodybuilders. Do you train? Is your training different? How do you differ from what Keith is doing? Is there anything different? Like, Your approach?
I think for me, with what Alina has me doing, the difference, and I'm not sure what you do for training, but she has me, you know, I do different workouts on different days. Sometimes I'll do, like, we went a double split, so I do like shoulders with legs and then arms with hamstrings. And everything that I do and the way she has it regimented is based on where I'm at in my prep. And for that, I feel like what's different for me is my splits are different. The amount of lifting that I do is different as far as my, like, it may be 3 sets of 15, it may be 4 sets of 10, it may be 4 sets of 20, just depending on what I'm doing. So it really varies. And I feel like, and I might be wrong and he can correct me, that his probably stays more consistent on his reps.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, the muscle maturity, and I've been doing this long, you know, so, and again, she just, I mean, this is her 3rd season as a women's bodybuilding. So, you know, she started at figure, went from figure to physique, from physique to bodybuilding, the body has to change, you know, so the volume of the weights and the training, like, I mean, her former coach, I mean, it was, an hour of pull-ups before you even started her workout. Like an hour of pull-ups.
What? An hour? Hour of pull-ups?
896 pull-ups a day.
896 a day.
And I never missed one pull-up, I promise you.
Oh, my.
I mean, they were going to put her name on the assisted pull-up machine at the gym because she was on that damn thing so much.
Yeah.
So, when it comes to our training, you know, my training is different. You know, I'm older and my muscle maturity is different. So my volume and my reps and things like that are different from Tina's. You know, as we're still trying to put, Tina's 5'9", you know, in the women's world of women's bodybuilding, she's like me in men's bodybuilding. I'm at 5'11", and she's at 5'9". In our sport, we're giants.
Yeah, you're giants.
So we have to be bigger than, you know, the Nick Walkers who are 5'7", 5'8", you know, at 250 pounds, but look like 280 pounds on stage because they're just shorter guys, you know, and that's Dexter, that's a lot of guys where our height is not an advantage in this sport whatsoever. So we got to be bigger. So we have to train different, and we got to be heavier compared to some of the people that we compete against.
Yeah. Interesting. Wow. I'm stuck on those pull-ups. I'm exhausted.
I know. I'm exhausted too.
Wow. It's real.
I was in the gym for 4 hours a day.
Oh my. And so this, and this was as a figure competitor, you said?
No, it was bodybuilding.
It was bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Oh man, well, I'm glad you survived. I don't know.
I told you, I'll do whatever I'm supposed to do.
That is very obvious.
Last year, she dieted about 365 days a year. She dieted
326.
326 is how many days she dieted last year because of COVID and not knowing what shows are going on. So she literally was on a diet, like hardly, I would say no cheat meals, just dieting straight, you know. Towards the end, it was one of those things where people just looked at her and said, she looks tired. I'm like, well, you look tired too. The year, you know, not knowing, and to only miss out on Olympia by 1 point.
Oh, wow. I know. That's heartbreaker. Well, you'll make it. You'll be there this year.
I hope so.
All this hard work that you've been putting in, it's paying off now. It comes in the weirdest ways, right?
It definitely does.
Well, we
She's
have
a lot more lively this year than she was last year. Let's just say that.
And that's the way it should be, right?
Yes.
We have a lot more questions for you guys, but we're going to take another quick break, another commercial break for our sponsors. So we'll be right back.
All right, we're back with Keith and Tina Williams, and we were just talking about the Olympia, qualifying for the Olympia in 21, and the fact that in 20, you missed it by 1 point.
I did.
How was that? Tell us about that experience.
You know, I knew what needed to happen for me to place in the Olympia. I knew that I I went in at the top of the point system. I was actually below Janine, I think. But I was in, and I knew that for me to be good, that I needed certain people to place in certain places, and that I needed to place at least in the top 5. And I did. But the people that needed to place where they were supposed to place didn't happen. And when I heard the name get called, I was on stage, obviously, and I had my trophy with me. And it was one of those things where I was like, damn, I'm like, all this work for nothing. But then I thought to myself, you know, only being my 2nd year in this women's bodybuilding as a pro, I have to look at it as something that I'm not defeated, but this is just something to push me into 2021. I was tired. I'd been prepping for so long. I was so close. And I'm like, this only means that I'm where I need to be. I just need to keep getting better. And so, and I told Alina when I came off stage, I was like, you know, I'm disappointed, but at the same time, like her and I discussed, could I have brought my best package to the Olympia last year, have dieting as long as I would have dieted an entire year by the time I got to the Olympia? And to be honest, I couldn't have. Do I want to go to my first Olympia ever looking okay? Or do I want to go to my first Olympia ever looking where I could look my best? So those were just kind of things that were bantering in my mind, and I was disappointed. And I will say, when I did go to the Olympia and I saw the girls on stage, I'm about to cry now. I was bawling my eyes out because I was like, you work so hard and do so much behind the scenes that nobody sees, as you both know. And you work so hard to get to somewhere. And you feel like, I felt like I got to the finish line and tripped right before I got there. And it's just that empty feeling that I've had going into 2021, I feel like has pushed me even harder. But I did. Keith will tell you, he looked at me and he started rubbing my back because I was pouring with tears. I'm like, I should be up there. I should be up there.
And it's one of those things where you look at the situation and you, as you're sitting there and you're watching the girls on stage, you say, just understand this feeling and understand how close you are, and understand now going into the next season how hard you have to push, and look at the stage you're looking at it, and you understand you deserve to be up there. But now going into the next season, you know, you put that behind you and push even harder, and because God's plan, you know, work out that she'll be on the stage this year.
It's incredible to hear that side of the story, because honestly, and we've all witnessed it, the people who come close and they just get that bitterness of the sport, of their efforts. They needed that validation. And when you can flip it around, I mean, let's be honest, you go in to win. So you're going to be bummed if the turnout doesn't be what you were hoping for. But to be able to go, all right, that's fine. This is going to light my fire, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to get it the next year. And guess what? It's going to be 10 times sweeter when you do, because you've appreciated that challenge. And I've seen personally athletes who do make it to Olympia, and they may have got in on an easier road than some others. And there isn't the appreciation from the athletes who've had to grind and work. And like you said, you're sitting in the audience tearing up going, I want to be on that stage so bad. That's what every athlete should experience. So hearing those words from both of you guys, where you realize what it takes to get there and the grind, it's very inspiring. And congrats, because I can tell you're going this year, girl. You got this. You got this.
I'm really truly enjoying this.
And honestly, Lenda, when she first got into the sport, you know, the one person, and this is true, she'll tell you this, we focused on you a lot. And I said, you know, there's a woman with beautiful black women with feminine lines. You know, you just brought some different elements to the sports, and people look at Tina and they see this energetic, you know, feminine, very feminine girl who is very soft, you know, and gritty, but she just reminded me so much of you and the things that you brought. So I'm like, I go, this is the person. Because the funny thing is, you don't even remember, Lenda, I was doing the Chicago Pro, I think 2 or 3 years ago, and I said, you got to go take a picture.
Like 5 years
ago. And I said, you got to go. Picture together. I took a picture with you. And I go, and she didn't even know who you were. That's how bodybuilding. She didn't know women's bodybuilding, nothing. And I told people when I got this sport, when I first got in this sport, I had no idea about bodybuilding whatsoever. I was a football track guy. So you don't know, like, the Flex Wheelers and the Chris Careers and all these guys. And so when I seen you, I was like, you have to take a picture. And she goes, who's that? I'm like, that's Lenda Murray. And so from that point on, she started.
I Googled you, and I kept looking up your photos. I kept watching you pose on your routines on YouTube, and I'm like, she's hot.
Oh, that's sweet. I love it.
And nothing's best when you checked Arnold. That was my.
You said when I what? When I checked him, when
you checked Arnold's sports
on Irene.
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
I just want you to know I watched that part about 300 times before that.
All right, that's right. Because after all, I have 8 Miss Olympias. He's only got 7.
Right.
Yeah, not too shabby.
Yes.
Yes. Gosh,
that look, and I like what they're doing is bringing that feminine look back to the sport, in which you and some other women had, and then all of a sudden it disappears. And I'm like, we were just talking about this the other day. It goes, who are we to judge how you guys' sports is supposed to be like? Right. Nobody tells us as guys how we're supposed to look. So why should we dictate how women's supposed to look?
It's unfair.
It's an unfair deal, and this is coming from this one thing. If I was a pro IFBB Pro male, but I say the same thing. I go, if there's this standard for us, why shouldn't the women be able to come in the best shape they can possibly be in, and not get criticized?
Right, absolutely. I agree 100%. Learned a lot. Yeah, agree 100%. One thing I have to say, Tina, is just, some of my best Miss Olympias, to be honest, I've lost the Olympia 3 times. And so my first Olympia I won, but sometimes you get a little bit lost and you can be in that bubble. And so I think that, Keith, your story and talking about the USA, 4 times being runner-up, and Tina, your career, and for me, you've made such progress so quickly. It's no question that your future is extremely bright. So I have no question that you'll be on the Olympia stage.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that's
no
exciting.
question. Ooh. And you're working with the best. Alina.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She's amazing. I told her she's going to be my ride to die. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, and just a whole lot of things with Alina compared to other coaches and other people. She's very strict when it comes to, and Tina's one of those people who, when she says, if she tells her to eat poop, that's just Tina. She doesn't cheat. She's not one of these. She does none of that. I mean, I can honestly say from the day when Kansas, our daughter was born, she gave natural birth, right? So we're in the hospital. She's crowning with our child. The lady's touching her face, and she grabs me and she says, "Keith, if this woman touches my face one more time, we're gonna have a problem." And this is a true story. I look at her, I go, "Are you really talking about somebody touching your face when the baby's coming out right now?" And I looked at her and I said, "I got this." I go, and this is natural birth, because the doctor comes in and says, "Oh, the doctor's like, oh, I guess they gave you the epidural." And Tina's like, "No, I'm just ready to have this baby."
I wanted to work out the next day.
She wants to work out the next day.
I couldn't work out if I had the epidural.
And so the doctor's looking at me saying, "Hey," I'm like, "This is not my idea, doc. This is her idea."
Again, they go back to the man.
Right? Yeah, and they look at me and I'm like, "No, this is not my idea." She's ready to go back, and then literally 9 months later, after having Kansas, she went to the Missouri. What was it? Illinois all natural show, and she won everything. Won the overall everything. 9 months later, after having the baby.
That's incredible.
And she went through hell having Kansas, because she was getting these big giant shots every week, because
I was a high risk.
She was high risk. She had placenta previa. She couldn't travel, nothing. So she went through a lot to have Kansas, and so
I was determined.
Yeah,
to say the least. Yeah, so
I can't imagine why. I've had no impression that you are a very determined woman. None at all.
And that's I guess it was alluding to her mental toughness, because when I watched her give natural birth, and then literally she's up walking in the hospital like an hour and a half later, and everybody's talking about it, like, "There's the girl."
I was bored. I can't lay there. I was bored.
Can I get up now?
There's the girl.
I said, so she's built different. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
In the best way possible. That is awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, guys, I want to thank you so much for joining us on FemFlex Friday and sharing with us your story of how you both work together, train together. family, just
power couple to the highest
power
degree.
Couple completely. And I really look forward to seeing you in Chicago. You guys continue to be an example for our sport. Just very impressed. I'm looking forward to it. All right,
thank you guys for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, the key thing, Lenda, that we just tell people, she puts herself before me and I put myself before her. I mean, and that's how it works. As long as we do that, you know, our camaraderie with each other works fine. Is that we just, you know, we stick together, understand we're side by side. I mean, for a long time, before she turned pro, she was like, you know, you're the pro and I'm the amateur. I said, it doesn't matter. You know, as a couple, we're next to each other. As long as we stand side by side with each other, nothing else matters. You know, I'm not better than you. You're not better than me. As long as we support one another, you know, everything will be fine. And that's the way it's just worked out for us both.
All right.
Such an amazing example of a very admirable couple. So we appreciate it. It's impressive to see in our sport. So congrats to you guys.
Thank you very much.
And thank you. Thanks to Keith and Tina Williams. And we will see you guys in Norfolk, in Chicago,
in Omaha.
And in Omaha.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Thank you.
We'll see you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.